What is up, beautiful people? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Auto Skin Detail. Give them a follow on Instagram, like a couple pictures, show them some love. Let's go. Yo, I'm just happy to be here. What is up, beautiful people of the world? My name is ExZac Change, and I'm happy to be here today with my guest, James Pakootas.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Man, it's just so cool to do this. I think we've been talking about doing it, and now we're here doing it.
Yeah, it's been, a couple months on the horizon.
I think even a little longer than that, because we kind of just been BSing about,
life.
And there was a little bit of uncertainty of where we were going to be, and now we're right here in this beautiful establishment, and dude, we're all well lit.
It felt good gravitating here. You know what I'm saying? Like both of us had some things come up and had to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what is the code word this year? Pivot.
You
know
got to
what I'm
pivot.
saying?
Yep.
I think we've done so well.
Yeah, I think that it's crazy how it just kind of comes together when it's supposed to.
Yeah, man.
Right. Things just
I'm a big believer in that.
And
big time.
What's kind of crazy is how long have you been in this area?
Let's see. I was born and raised on the Calvo Indian Reservation, just a couple hours away. But as far as Spokane, off and on, in and out of spurts my whole life. Like I was born here in Spokane, came back, did a couple years of high school at Gonzaga Prep, my freshman and sophomore year.
Oh, word?
Yep. Yeah, I was only one. They only had 2 Native American scholarships, right? And I come from a single parent household, so my mom grinded hard just to give me whatever I could in life, whether it was a new pair of sneakers or sometimes some top ramen just to eat. Mm-hmm. But in that Native American scholarship, we were like tuition paid for, all of that, right? And they only awarded it to 2 students, and I was one of those students. I had to write an essay in 8th grade, and
wow.
It was meaningful because I was going through some treacherous times back home. I was being abused, and my dad was gone in prison, and I didn't know how to cope, and I was being bullied just from the effects of that trauma. Just I couldn't cope, and I didn't have a community or even people to really believe in me other than my family. I was getting in trouble in school, so the teachers was on my noggin the whole time. I think like 3/4 of the 7th and 8th grade year I spent in ISS, right? Just acting out.
Yeah.
And then I got to come to prep, for freshman and sophomore year. And it was like I had the ability and the opportunity to become who I wanted to be rather than what everybody knew me as, right? So I just came in and I just started being myself and trying hard just because I wanted to be liked, And all the problems went away, all the trauma, all that stuff. I came back and I moved back home to graduate to the res. But when I went back home, I was a new person. Like I had gained something,
Wow.
a sense of self that I couldn't even find in my own home, So going back, it was nice to be able to travel out. And then once I started doing music after high school, we came out, and I don't know if you guys heard of On1, but he's one of the OGs of Spokane rap.
Of course, we've heard of On1.
Okay, yes, sir.
He's the dog for sure.
He's one of the OGs of Spokane hip hop, like period. Like man. Him and I and my cousin Seth started a group when I was like 18 or 19. We were called Outspoken.
Oh,
we
my
put out
God.
2 albums, right?
I remember this. I remember this.
Well,
I remember this.
Really?
That's
I was
crazy.
part of that group.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. On1, like he really put me up on cadence and rhythm and style and taught me.
He's taught a lot of cats how to rap, bro. He really has.
And like taught me how to produce. Like he made a lot of beats and stuff, growing. So I've copped a couple beats, as I grew as an artist, and like he's always been just like one of those supporters that's always given me gems along the way. But he was part of that foundation of me finding myself in hip hop.
Nice.
Was On1, all respect to
That's great.
to the OG,
Nice. That's cool. That's
much
cool.
love to On1, man. He's a great dude.
For real.
Man, because you're not you're not going to be here for much longer, man.
No,
You're taking off, man. You're leaving on us.
So I just got here, 2018. They had Indigenous Peoples March, and I was asked to be a speaker out here. And I really liked the vibe of just seeing so many natives downtown marching the streets, right? Like, I'd never seen that in Spokane. And I got to be a part of like giving a message that day as well. You know, as at that time, all I wanted to be was a public speaker. You know, I hadn't won an award yet. I hadn't gone out and done these things that I've done over the past few years. As far as art's concerned, it was me, you know, getting into an accident, not having a way of life that I knew, you know, when I had two hands, and trying to find a new way. And it's like, yo, let me tell my story. Maybe that's something I can do to at least make a living for myself, just to be able to put food in my stomach and feel like a man, like I can pay my own bills and stand on my own too, right? And that was the start here, you know. And then worked at a youth treatment center here for a couple years at Healing Lodge of the Seven Nations right here.
Okay, yeah.
I was helping with the youth there. And then, I don't know, man, booking started coming in. And not really, like, I can say I'm a performing artist, but I've only done, like, one performance in the last 17 years. You know, and I've traveled all over the nation. You know, it's wild, the paths of success we can find ourselves in the realm of performing arts. I can even do it without performing.
That's
So,
that's a very good way of putting that.
So
it's wild.
The thing that I'm really interested in too is how you know, without that father figure, how, you know, you go from that struggle and that like substance abuse and shit like that, right? Just being wild, being crazy.
Oh yeah.
To kind of like tightening up and just like, you know, finding your purpose and then just being disciplined or just completely leaving all those habits or whatever those things, you know, all that bad shit behind. Like what age how old are you actually is what I wanted to ask you.
37.
37. Okay.
37 now.
And when was it that you kind of had this like click, this change?
Man, it's been a series of changes,
Gradual.
you know, because I've tried before, and those failures at that time, like, they were still honest tries in that moment, you know. So, but I'll go back to the father figure, you know, as I had father figures in my life. On my mom's side, you know, my grandma had 13 kids, you know, so. Yeah. I had hella uncles. That's dope. You know, my Uncle Dan took me out to shoot my first deer. And so I had these figures that tried, you know, they did what they could from an uncle standpoint, you know. And then at 17, my mom married my stepdad. And, you know, he's been a serious father figure. And he was one of the, like, original OGs way back in the day of the Res. You know, they had this group called Hole in the Wall Gang. And they would just go around and they would drink and they would fight and
really?
You know, it was just old school, you know, this
is all in the res?
All in the res, but they would go res to res, basketball tournaments, horse racing, bull riding,
like a biker gang.
Like basically, yeah, man.
Res to res.
So they were hard, you know, like,
wow.
And just drink whiskey and just raise hell, you know, and he straightened his life up. He's got like 26 or 27 years sober now, right? And I remember being back home just raising hell, you know. I was addicted to coke, addicted to crack, just selling so that I could just keep using, drunk, blacked out over 1,000 times, you know, like just thousands of times blacked out, you know. And he would always just like, he'd be like, you know, one of these days you're gonna get it, you know. It's like, I can't wait for that day to come. I hope I get to see that day come. Yeah. But I'm not gonna be here and ride your ass, you know. My mom she'd be on my case, you know, she'd be on my head. Rightfully so, but he was just always came from that real understandable viewpoint, right? So I always had that, like, some sort of figure, you know, whether it was uncle or the stepdad.
I think that's huge, man. Just the understandable point, like you were saying, just understandable. Because when you're a kid, it's like, oh, you don't understand. You don't, you know, when you have somebody that's just like willing to listen or willing to just even hear you, that's such a big thing.
It was huge. And I think the biggest part of all that was. You would think that I would like learn these lessons, right? So like 22 or 23, you know, I remember it was Mother's Day, And it was just me and my mom, like growing up, right? So we had this, and we didn't come from a lot of money. So we come from this tradition where she would go buy some food and I would cook her breakfast, because single mom having to work. She managed like 3 apartment buildings just so we could have rent paid and stuff. Wow. So like I didn't always, like, she was always there, but she was always busy doing stuff. So I learned how to like whip up food and stuff at a young age. You know, I could do my thing, and I could get myself ready and go to school, you know, and just make sure that,
and give mom a break. Yeah,
give mom a break. And so we had this tradition so that she would buy the food and I would cook for her every Mother's Day, you know, and that would be my thing.
That's cool.
And I remember being like maybe a half mile from the house, like right up at my homeboy's house, and I've been just using for like 2 or 3 days straight, you know, and here it is, Mother's Day, it's 6, 7 in the morning, and I know I'm high, I'm drunk, knowing damn well I ain't gonna go see her, right? So boom, I get on the phone and I'm like, yo, Mom, happy Mother's Day. You know? And she's like, where are you? You coming to cook? You know, thank you. And I'm like, no, Mom, I'm not. I'm half a mile away. She's like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, where are you? What happened? What's going on? Where do I need to come get you? I'm like, no, like, I'm not going to let you see me like this, you know, because I'm high and I'm sorry that I'm not going to be there, you know. She instantly crying, like, I don't even care. Like, I don't care about that.
Just come here.
So I want you, this is my one day, you know what I'm saying? And I put her through hell, you know, and I hung up, you know, cried for a couple of days straight, and then was at my lowest. I had no more drugs, no more alcohol, puking, like just in a dope house, like no love surrounding me whatsoever. And called her up and was like, yo, I'm going to go to treatment, you know? And this was that first, like, hard moment, you know. It was really a hard one to swallow, just for a single mom to give everything to me my whole life and me do some shit like that, you know. That was a low for me. Some people would say it's not, but that was like, you know, that's probably the most all-time low out of all these things that have happened in my life. That would probably, to me, be the most disrespectful thing I've ever done in life, you know. And so I go to treatment, and I think I'm going to save the world, and I'm going to be a chemical dependency counselor. You know, first time I found my confidence again. You know, I want everybody to feel this. So I do. Going to an Oxford house, getting my life on track, and then I go back and DD for one of my friends, and boom, after a while, I start drinking. Then move out of there, move in with him, and end up getting blacked out drunk one night, right? And I'm at this, it's closed now. It used to be called the Season Ticket, right across from the arena. Everybody,
we know exactly what that is.
Yeah, but right down the street from there was the Viking. So the Viking, they only serve beer though, right? So it's like it was Seahawks losing the playoffs. Is, you know, Alexander and Hasselbeck, and you know, we're drinking all day. It's midnight comes, we go to the bar. And by midnight, I'm done drinking beer. I'm like, I want to go get like a Washington Red Apple or something. I want some Crown.
Beer before liquor.
Never been sicker. But yeah, man, I go there and black out as soon as I get a drink, and I'm trying to fight the bouncer, I guess. I don't remember. They kicked me out. And I live over here on Cento at that time. We're on the west side. And I go by that to Taco Bell first, and I walk through the drive-thru, and I'm banging on their window like, yo, give me some food. And I'm going to college, so I got $1,000 on my debit card in my pocket. You know, I'm like, yo, give me some food, man. I'm hungry. Yeah. They're like, you got to be in a car. This is a drive-thru. Like, we're going to call the cops. And I'm like, oh, just raising hell. And I walk off, stumble off. And I make it to the 7-Eleven, like maybe 3 or 4 blocks from my house, right? And me and this guy were cool. The guy that owned it, like, hella cool. We'd talk all the time. I live right there, you know? And I buy like $37 and like 36 cents worth of food or something. I have the receipt still, right? And all sorts of just trashy food. Just I'm drunk, get a bunch of food, and I go back to the liquor cooler and I try to get some beer, and it's locked. And I come back up front. I don't have any memory. I'm blacked out now. And all I know what's on the security camera.
Past 2 o'clock, yeah.
Past 2. It's like 2:30, 2:45, and you see me talking to him in security. You see him like just shake his head no, and then you see me like turn my head like, what?
Like, what do you mean no?
And I walked around the counter and I started to beat him up. And I chased him out of his own store. I broke his hot dog machine, and you could see me out there like doing this stuff, like yelling at him or something, you know, and he's under the street light, and he's got his phone, like, and I go back in, and I'm first trying to work the lottery machine. I'm sitting there just drunk, not knowing, and a customer comes in. goes back, gets some chocolate milk, puts it on the counter. And I look at it. I'm just out of it. Put it back down. I go back to what I'm doing, you know? And that guy realizes it, and he like books it out of there. And then I come back out the second time, and I'm yelling at that guy again. And I come back in, and I remember coming out of blackout, and I'm at the cashier, and it's blank screen. And it says cash on the bottom right, and I hit that, and bam, the register opened. And I took everything in there. I turned around and took like 30 blunt wraps, like 6 packs of Marlboro Smooths, and 2 pieces of beef jerky. And I walked out. And the cops were there on that third time. And I came out of blackout again as they're putting me up against the cop car. And I'm like, what are you guys arresting me for? You know, and they're like, don't be dumb. You know what you did. I'm like, no, really, officer. Like, I'm coming out of blackout. What did I do? Like, what's up? And they're putting all this stuff on the hood. And they're like, you robbed this place. You're going to jail. I'm like, why would I rob this place? Officer, I got $1,000 on my debit card in my pocket. I'm going to college right now. There's no way that I would ever do something like this. He was like, tell it to the judge, buddy. You're going to jail. I got 3 felonies that night. You know, you think there would be enough that I had first-degree theft, first-degree malicious mischief, and third-degree assault. You think that would be enough, you know, like, okay, boom. But a law gets passed while I'm in, and they give me first-time felon, so I'm only getting 4 months, right? So it's just slap on the wrist. But while I'm in there, funding gets cut. So I get out to turn myself into PO. They're like, here you go, sign here, you're done. And I'm like, done for the day? Like, you want me to UA? Like, what's up? They're like, no, funding got cut. Everybody that was in jail, they don't have to do probation. Everybody that was out, they got their time cut in half, so you're done. And I took it as a slap on the wrist, still in an addictive mindset.
Yep.
And took myself to Montana with my homie selling dope and caught a conspiracy charge for conspiracy to distribute over 500 grams of cocaine, and I did 60-month sentence.
Wow.
Almost 3 years after RDAP program, 8 months of good time, and 6 months in a halfway house. And ended up going to prison. And then 6 months after that, I got in a car accident, drunk again, and lost the use of my right arm. You know, so it was like all these things that you would think for other people that would be enough. It still wasn't, you know. And even after that, I went and used meth for the first time.
After the accident?
After the accident, my
still
girl
an
left
addictive
me.
mindset.
Yep, my girl left me.
So how
at the
old
time.
were you when the accident happened?
I was like 32, 33, 32 or 33. It was 2015. Yeah.
And
6 months after I got out of
your
prison.
girl had just left you, and
Yeah, girl just left me, and then I found out from the doctors that because I was holding out for hope, I was going to get my arm back, and they said, "No, man, you're not going to get it back." And I just said, "F it. I know what I am good at, using and getting drunk and hiding from my emotions. So I'm just going to go back to that and give up." Thank God I was still on federal probation. You know, they were just going to let me off. I'd been 3 years without any trouble. They're like, "Oh, we're going to let you off." Thank God I didn't. January 12th, they locked me up for that. 8 violations, bro. 8 violations.
Really?
Not checking in. My dad having a rifle in the house. You know, we live out there in the woods, man. We go hunting. Like all these different things racked up.
you weren't allowed to be
them.
there around weapons and shit.
Yeah, so they had
that's
8 of them racked up.
So you're saying, thank God they locked you up. Otherwise, it would have spiraled again.
Oh yeah, it would have. I was in a very distraught. I didn't care about my life anymore, you know. So that day I was locked up. January 12th, high and drunk. January 13th, I woke up. I've never done meth. I've never done coke. I've never done alcohol since. You know.
So
I've
what was
rebuilt
that
my
day
life.
like? What was that? You wake up, was it just enough? Was it just like
Oh
this?
no, I didn't. I went and got numbers from anybody I could that was still in the game. I was still going to throw my life away. I didn't care. I was like, F it. It was my first violation. I'm thinking state, like, 7 to 10 days or something. They're like, nope, you can get 3.5 months, buddy, or they're trying to give me 7. And I was still in the addictive mindset, like, yo, send me to treatment. Like, I'm an addict, and I thought I was getting one over on them.
Yeah.
Like, no, and they cut my time in half if I went to treatment. So I was like, yes, beat him, you know?
Yeah.
And then I finally get to treatment, and I call my friends. One of my friends, been through my life, through everything. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be home in 28 days. Like, let's link up. And she's like, I've invested everything into you, like all these different years. And this same story keeps happening. You keep getting these calls from jail or prison or treatment. Like, why? why don't you worry about yourself and don't call me no more? And hung up, right? Bam. And then I called my ex. And same call, same exact back-to-back calls. Work on yourself, lose my number, don't talk to me. And no one's ever threatened to walk out of my life, you know. All this shit that I put everybody through, I never had that, you know, and I've never been faced with that. And that hurt, man. That day I was just like kind of in the dumps, and I woke up the next day like, nah, man, I don't want people to walk out on me. That my biggest fear is dying alone, you know. So I'm gonna do something, and I'm gonna make people proud of me. I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna get clean first and foremost. And I'm gonna straighten my life out, and I make it home to the res, and they only got one meeting, and the woman there has got her and her son. They're the only ones keeping the meetings alive. It's once a week. And I'm like, finally, I want to work a program, and I don't got no community.
Yeah.
I don't have no support. So we created it from the ground up there. You know?
Really?
I went to my tribe and was like, hey, I'm trying to do something. And the behavioral health program, shout out to Colville Tribes for helping me with this. But they gave me a $46,000 budget to start a drug and alcohol awareness conference. We did 4 days of speaking, concerts, worked with the town of Nespelam, Washington, to turn their town celebration into a drug and alcohol awareness theme. So they worked in partnership with us and did this whole community effort 4 days straight, you know, and that's how eventually, you know, Lou Era led me to TS, you know, and John Crown, and we started Empower Our Future, and we did a full tour on our reservation, speaking to our kids.
That's right. That's right.
TS performing, me speaking.
That,
I remember that.
And that was 2017.
17, yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, man, and that was huge.
That was amazing.
You know, I had no
man.
idea. You know, I think that's when I first kind of jumped in, and I was just kind of catching a glimpse of what you guys were doing, man, and that was
wild.
That was so cool.
You know, because I've got throughout this whole process, I've always been searching, like, what's my purpose? You know, like, let me align with that. And instead of like, let me build a business model and then build around that, it's like, no, let me find my purpose and build a business model around that, right? And that TED talk about your why, you know, it's like, I really spoke to me. And, you know, it was that first show. And I've got a natural sense of like breaking down defense barriers. When you're in front of 300 youth and you're like, first words out of your mouth are, I was a little boy at 3 years old, and I got sexually abused by 2 of my older cousins. You could hear a pin drop. Everybody shuts up. And then I talk to about my dad being in prison, and then I start going into these traumas that I've lived, and they're seeing that this ain't a celebrity. This is just James from up the road that sells breakfast burritos, you know, to make some money, you know.
Yeah.
Like, this is just one of our own.
Like, this is real. This is somebody that we, you know, I can relate to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's speaking this truth that, I mean, Native peoples, like, we have a very high percentage of sexual abuse, you know, that stems from intergenerational trauma that's been laced down to us for generations. It's been, you know, we're still trying to heal from. And they start to see that I'm being truthful and transparent about what's gone on in my life, you know.
Do you think that's probably one of the big pillars of how to change that? Is just transparency, telling your story, because a lot of people I feel like don't talk about it.
Well, it's stigmatized, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a part of breaking that stigmatism is going to start with, you know.
Well, I'm sure people themselves too,
of
just being able to tell, to say it. You know what I'm saying?
To
like
vocalize it,
to admit it, to, you know what I'm saying? I can only imagine. You know what I'm saying? What it would be like to air out your deepest secrets. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's
intense.
But I'm sure it's liberating too, in a way.
It is. There's been moments where you see a light bulb click on in one of the USIs. Or we did, you know, there were sometimes we did 2 and 3 shows back to back, because we do 2 at the school and then a community event at night for the town.
Oh, okay.
Their parents would come in, and there's been like my friends, like my sisters, like pouring down tears, like just because it struck a nerve in them. You know, it's not just them like, oh wow, he's bearing his heart, let me cry for him. No, man, I'm striking
home
connectivity here, you know, and that's, to me, that's because not only am I trying to liberate myself, I'm helping you uncover a little bit that's helping you liberate yourself. I
And
don't liberate anybody.
read that. I read that. This said on your website. I think this said, if you can just help one person, if you can just get one person that light bulb or that connectivity.
It sounds so cliche. You like in the public speaking world, it's like the one person, you know?
But if you can make one person gets it, if you changed one person's life,
yes,
then you're living in your purpose. I think that's how you said it, and I was
real.
that resonated with me. Like, wow.
That's that was the caveat to that. Like cliche is like, man, I hear it so much, but I feel it to my bones because I've been there, and it's been maybe only 3 people in the room because it's a small school and we're only dealing with one class or something like that. Like we're dealing with populations of only, sometimes there's only 180 in the town, the whole town, so there's some communities that are underserved, underrepresented. That I went back to my hometown, in one of my home communities of Inchlim this last year, that just got hit with a suicide, and going back and just immersing ourselves with the youth, me and my bro Tony from the collective, we went back and performed and held talking circles with the community, and just took part and just tried to be there. It's so important because they get to see us vocalize in that moment when they're just right in the rack. The whole community's racked with trauma at that point. And it starts, the dominoes fall, and now finally they're starting to unleash some of those feelings.
Like especially kids, they need somebody that's going to be real with them, and somebody that can speak to them, And I think the music is a great way to connect with the youth. It's cool. It just makes the message cool.
Yeah, especially,
and it's fun.
Especially when it was TS and Lou, because they're professional, and they have a style and flavor, and not only do they have great words and great messages in their music, but they also speak well, so they have this dual threat kind of thing. So it's like, it was kind of, we fumbled onto the model just thinking like, okay, how do we want to structure this? Like we're as a team, like who do we want to speak? And we lead with Maya Bear Cub because she's one of our youth that were from those communities. Like, yo, we got a powerful youth that wants to lead. Like, let's do that. Yeah. That's where the name came from. Empower our future. Let's let Maya lead. I was like,
that's so cool.
And then I would follow up, and with that depth of just, okay, here's some real life for you in your eyes.
How old's Maya?
She just graduated last year, so
cool.
she's 18.
Very cool.
And she was speaking with us at 16 or something.
Cool.
And she had some courage.
I could see that.
It
creating
was
some
wild. Impact. This is here's the real story behind her. Is I go, okay, you want to be a public speaker? Like, where we're gonna go to all these communities. You get a pick. Where do you want to go first? She goes, I want to go to my school. I go, why is that? She goes, well, a lot of the people that hurt me and bullied me and all of that growing up, that really gave me, some trauma and stuff that I had to work through. I don't want to tell them to their face that they did it, but I want to tell them all that I forgive them, right? And I was like, whoa. At 16, bro, like not led, any of that. And she became Missy CT for our tribe, and she's held herself really well these last couple of years.
That's amazing, man.
It was just
a good message.
We learned in all of our sessions, man. We learn just as much. We don't come in at all with like, hey, we got something to teach you. We want to remind you that you're great, or tell you that you're great. We want to remind you of your greatness, right? And we just want to come learn as much as we're going to teach. It's this.
Yeah, that's a huge thing too. Is not being the person that's just, I'm just here to tell you stuff and teach you stuff, and I know it all already. And here we, but that. I'm willing to learn too, and just being vulnerable there. And it's the kids are
smart, bro.
Smart, man.
And smart and emotionally intelligent.
And that's why when you give them the same shit over and over again, as far as like those cliches and stuff, they just tune out. They're just like, man.
That music element really hits them. Yeah. Because after I break them wide open, like they come in and just fill their hearts with inspiration and saying, yo, you're a leader. You're worth being here. You deserve to be here. Like,
there's something powerful about that, like inspiration brewing inside of you when you're either seeing somebody doing something that you want to do, or you're like, I could do that, type of a thing. Yeah. And that feeling, you get that fire where it's just like you want to go home and do it.
Yeah.
Like when I would watch like Michael Jordan
Yes.
videos and shit,
Yes.
I would like, as soon as it was done, I'd be outside, rain or fucking jumping, layup. Like,
And news era, and now today's era, everybody's Kobe.
Kobe.
You know, it's like,
That's right.
inspired by
but
greatness.
you were like you would see them do it and you're like, I can do it. And then I would be out there for hours. Like all I got to do is just shoot as many jump shots as Michael Jordan and I'll be Michael Jordan. Like that's it. Right. Like I was just convinced, and that inspiration. And I still get that at 34 years old when I make music and the will to make music. That's the reason why I still move in that direction, is because it's calling.
Yes, it is.
It's like, man, like, sure. Like how many people just have a regular job, you know, plumbing or something. Shout out to the plumbers. No, I know you're working hard, but you know, but you're kind of like, fuck, man. Like you see that guy over there that's maybe struggling in his life, right? But he's making music and he's happy, right? And you're maybe very successful, but then the happiness just you just can't get it. And you're just like, I'd give up everything to just be free like this man over here, just making music. And you know what I'm saying? And then it's the other way. Like when you're the single guy making music, you're like, man, I'd kill to have a family. I'd kill to just be
somewhere in the middle is just a sweet spot, right?
I don't think
that's a societal thing. This is conditioning you're talking about. You know, we've been conditioned to believe and act in these ways. You know, because it's not always grass is greener on the other side. And once you really truly act in that, start walking in your own power. Oh, that's not the case for everyone. This is conditioning, man. This is how we've been taught to be, so that we can go out and become consumers on a capitalistic society, bro. This is way
never
deeper.
satisfied.
Fucking true that, bro.
Yeah,
For real.
I'm saying, man, it's like, I think it goes into that intergenerational trauma, you know, and like one of my biggest probably inspirations is John Trudell. You know, he was a warrior and an activist for our peoples, and that was one of his main teachings, was about government systems all over the world. Is that it's mining the essence of our soul, our human energy, right? So it's the illusion of power, mistaking authority for power, right? So money, guns, influence are being looked at now as power. Where he goes, no, like us and our energy, the ones that are walking in their purpose, are really walking in power. Like you can sit here and work an 8 to 12 hour day for 30 years and get your house loan, and for 30-year payout, right? For a longer reason, for your jobs and your governments to make money off of your energy, right? So I started, okay, how do I disconnect from that matrix? And my mom and I just had this discussion during Christmas. She's college, go build your retirement, you work your 9 to 5, and you create security in your life, where that is a prison to me, you know? And we had that talk, like, she goes, man, the way you live your life is so scary to me, but you are free, and look at, like, you flourish is, I would never want you to live my life, you know? And I said the same for you, Mom. Like, you take pride and security and building up that security. That security is like, you know, it's like irons
like
on
you know you're gonna be okay.
Yeah,
you know that next year this time I'm gonna be, you know, where, and you know, I just talking to somebody, I think, who was doing photography or something, and it was Christopher Sean Gray. I just talked to him. It was a while ago. I think it was just like 6 months ago probably, but he was like, you just don't know when it's coming. You don't know when it's coming. You don't. Oh, and Moses. I was talking to Moses too just recently, and he's just, you know, those guys are working. They don't have jobs. Like these guys are their craft is that's how they pay their bills. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I don't know if someone cancels and this guy and things don't line up. Fuck, I might be fucked. You know, and so it's just kind of like, oof, you know, that is scary for a lot of people. And you kind of got to decide which side of that you live on.
I've played risky with my life, my whole existence, right? I didn't care about my actual existence, right? So these, for me, they don't feel like risks because I'm not gambling with my life anymore. You know, I'm building purpose to it. So just like taking a year fellowship in Tulsa. I have no contacts there.
So tell the people about what you're doing.
So yeah, there's lots. Just got back from the wonderful Cascades of Oregon on a 3.5 week artist in residence program with TS a Solution.
That's
yeah.
3.5
I've been
weeks.
watching that.
3.5 weeks in this. It's like, it looks like a ski lodge. You know what
So
I'm
tell
saying? But that's our
what is
studio.
an artist in residence? Like what is that?
An artist in residence is where you take up space in a certain location, wherever that's going to be, and they're usually like grant funded or private arts organizations funded, right? But you'll go take up space in wherever that is, and you get to set, or the company that is doing it sets the parameters on what's going to be done while you're there.
Okay.
So we got introduced to even what these things were by another member of our collective from South Dakota named Basil. You'll see along a lot of my social medias that I'm really interacting with his profile a lot. He came into our lives in 2018. I was awarded Artist in Business Leadership by a nonprofit called First Peoples Fund out of Rapid City, South Dakota. He was given another grant. And then they flew us down to Phoenix to all convene as the people that won that fellowship, just to connect with each other. We connected tough. He flew back up, got a grant another like a year down the road to do a residency program. And he called me up and was like, hey man, I got this, this grant to do this thing. Can I do it at your studio and stay at your house for 5 days? And we create a project and you get paid to consult, on this thing. So I'll be producing. And we're like, yeah, sure, we'll pick it up, I'm like, hey, TS,
money
man.
in the bank.
Yeah, I was
right?
like, hey, TS, like, would you be interested in something like this? And none of us knew what the heck a residence was. And he's like, yeah, sure. Hey, my nephew Noah, is part of the collective. You want to make some beats and stuff? DJ Spicy Ketchup, Darby, bro. You want to come together? Let's make this like our collective. This is what we're trying to build, is a squad of people that can produce, no matter what, produce stories, right? So we all come together, huddle around this Basil, and in 5 days cut like 22 songs, and he stretched it out to like 29 by the end of it, and stretched it over 3 albums. So we gave this guy a real push, and we got to help produce, and we also got to help collab and add to the artistry and add to the story of what he was bringing to the table.
Soak up game.
Yeah, off of
gems.
each other.
So the idea of the push is behind a specific artist who has the funding, who gets the.
Just for that particular grant, right? So me finding out about that, I started, okay, let me research artist in residence. And then my partner, Maura, was awarded the same residency that we just went to a year ago. And we hadn't been together yet, but I was like, yo, like, why don't you fly up here a couple days early? You can come kick it with your boy, and I'll drive you down there. You know, so that was like our kickoff of like, yo, I want you to be my girl.
Yeah.
And so we go down there, and I got to see this space, and it's like a high end ski lodge, but it's for arts. Wow. They got ceramic studio, photography studio,
so beautiful,
like, all this stuff. Yeah, all these shots.
I saw pictures.
Beautiful, right? Just beautiful, and just being there. And this is networking. Like, if you guys want to get into performing arts, you want to get into entertainment, the staple that you're going to have to learn and get to know is networking, being in community with people and not being afraid to put yourself out there. Just by me being there, there's a contact there. Shout out Smalls, homegirl Meg Ball. She's an old friend from way back. And she goes, James, what are you doing here in Oregon? I go, my partner's here in there. She goes, oh man, we got a hefty youth program. I see what you've been doing with the youth. Here's my business card. Cool. I go look her up. She sends me the newsletter so that make sure I can see what's going on with the art center. They're called Caldera Arts. Anybody that wants to link up and do an artist in residence program, go to Caldera Arts, Caldera Arts. Go look them up. And I got the newsletter, and as soon as I saw, artist in residence opening up, bam, filled out the application. And this was a year and a half ago, right? That we did this, like a year ago or something. We filled out this grant. And these are the things, man. Fill out for grants too.
Just do.
Everybody do. Act.
Do.
Grants, residencies, fellowships. Those 3 words. Look those up. Google them. And if you're of a certain nationality, look up your nationality and then those 3 words too. And you'll singular down and do your research. And so me and my partner Like we do so many grants and fellowship applications, we'll do them and we'll forget about them, and we'll come back through like, oh shoot, man, just got hit for $2,500 for this. Oh boom, let me create this for $5. Let me.
So your girl, you guys do this together?
We've started. Like she's the one teaching me. She does like probably
cool.
She writes 3 to 5 grants a week.
Wow.
Right. So she's like done artist in residence up in Alaska. Like when COVID hit, man, she was supposed to be in Mexico City and Australia, bro. And
Wow,
COVID hit.
So this is is really, you get to learn a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
Just right there.
Just to be, she's everything to me. She's
That's amazing.
she's helped me lose like 30 pounds. Like
Really?
like, helped me in my business practices, in my spirituality. Like I finally found a real one.
Damn.
It's cool.
Is she?
Search all my
What's her nationality?
She's native.
She's
yeah.
native?
She's native and black. She's a mixed blood woman. Yeah.
Very cool.
Dude,
And,
that's I mean, just like women that can, that really build you up. I feel
Yeah.
like they just partners.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say like
Oh, yeah.
people that you keep the closest to you have to be people
Mm-hmm.
that you respect and people that someone that you're trading that knowledge, those gems,
reciprocity,
back and
yeah,
forth.
it's big.
Different perspective. Perspective is everything.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things we're totally completely different, and it helps me gain that perspective, get out of myself, and
when you're
and
humble,
a lot of times so I was just gonna say, break down my ego, man. I got a pretty strong male ego, so she helps me.
I think a lot
humble
of
yourself.
dudes do, and
Yeah.
it takes maturity and age and kind of getting through life to humble yourself down and to just take responsibility for. I mean, I'll take responsibility for anything that
It
happens
still takes me a while. It takes me a couple months still.
because I know.
She's like, you know what I appreciate about you? You'll like dig your heels in, but later you'll come around. I'm like, if you're right, I will. I'll think about it.
Because I
So that
do
works.
like if something bad happens, I think in some way that was my fault, right? Like, and I can backtrack it and take responsibility for it. Like if this happened,
Take responsibility for your part.
then
You know what I'm
I
saying?
can backtrack and be like, well, I wasn't strict with myself enough about the people that I was letting into my life, or the people that I was doing business with, or the people. Right? There's
yeah.
always some timeline you can go back and say I fucked up, and you don't got to beat yourself up over it.
Yeah.
But you can really learn.
You know what's funny is you bring this up is this is exactly what I learned at Caldera, right? So we went there for 3.5 weeks. I'm thinking we're gonna come out with a gang of work, but for the first 9 days, like I had to heal. Like all of us, and this is for all of us. We all came with our own baggage. We all live with different lives, got different circumstances.
Wait, so how long was it in total?
3.5 weeks. So we was there all January.
So what's
January
that?
8th to February
21
1st.
days?
23.
I
24.
totally
Yeah,
feel
do
that
math.
when you said you had to heal. Like, I mean, you gotta get out of this.
So you had
like,
enough
gotta,
time
You gotta
to-
get out of like your
Your
everyday.
regular-
Yeah, and like
Yeah, it was
takes
an
a little
experience, and that's what I learned from Caldera. Is I was doing some business here in town and got burnt a few times in a row, right? And I just wanted to blame. Like I'm doing all this and that and this and not wanting to own up that I could have communicated earlier. I could have set boundaries earlier,
something.
like something, and I was in this blaming mode. So as soon as we get there, I'm wanting to do that same mode. I want to blame myself. I want to blame these guys. Why aren't we collaborating more? Why aren't we creating work? Blame until, I finally just dropped the pride and was like, hey, TS, like Tony, Noah, Moses, let's have a team meeting. I just want to tell you guys what's going on in my heart. You know what I'm saying? It was like, here's what I've dealt with the last few months. And this is how I'm feeling now. And I just wanted to say that so I could stop blaming
that's so
you
powerful.
and me for what's going on in my life. And I want to do better from this point on. Our collective is, and this is something I learned there is I impose my vision a lot because I feel like I'm a visionary. And I've got great ideas. I've got a great vision for my life. And I feel like I'm going to make a great impact. I'm destined for greatness. I truly believe that in not a cocky way whatsoever, but intrinsically I feel it, right? So sometimes I'm like, hey, I got this vision, let's roll. And all the bros, they'll jump in the car because they're like, I love you. I don't want you to fail. I want you to succeed. So I'm going to jump in. But really, this ain't my vibe,
Yeah.
And I made that statement there, like, hey, I realize that I've done this and I want to be more inclusive in the decision-making process and projects. And I want like us to lead in different parts of projects and all this kind of stuff. Let's operate differently from this point on. And instantly, bam, we made a project, and now we're doing this whole like handing it off. Like, here you go. Now it's out of my control. I'm gonna let you do your best work, and you get a say.
It's crazy when you just put it all out and you just communicate. You communicate, and you're just saying, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling."
We appreciated each other more, and we still made great art. Like, we still made some awesome art, amazing art. Maybe not as much as we hoped we would, but what we gained from that is so much more precious than 5 more tracks.
I mean, it's tough because how do you put like a quantity on art? Like when you're trying, like if in 3 weeks you made 2 songs, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like we were trying to quantify like this whole
it's tough
process, because there is limits on ourselves.
Well, we live in this capitalistic world. I feel like that is constantly putting these. We need these. If you're not performing, if you're not, this needs to be met. And to be an artist like that can't. You know what I mean? And you sell a piece for $50,000 that you painted and shit, and it's just it's not even. It's just how the values. That person wasn't worried about trying to sell a $50,000 piece. They just was in their time creating something timeless that people were just like
the way you put that.
That's wild, dude. Multiple times just talking to you now, I've had goosebumps. Like the shit's so real that I feel it. So I understand why, especially the youth, I feel like we're all just really emotional creatures, man. You know what I'm saying? And like a lot of times we're just having fun and stuff like that to kind of get away from the emotion. Like we need to have like having fun is an emotion, but there's a lot of serious shit that's happened in all of our lives, and that's happening every day, that we struggle with. And for us to just kind of like, we try to just like mask it a little bit, but how often are people really sitting down and just being like,
yeah, usually we got to break through. We usually got to break through. That's why
sometimes you got to be that person.
Yeah,
you have to be the one.
We're the ones opening up to lead that way. And that's another hats off to Caldera. They had us do 2 youth sessions, 3 in total, but 2 of them where we got to teach our creative process. And we had 3 hours, on one Saturday, 3 hours the next Saturday. So I did the first Saturday, TS did the second. And we did maybe a half hour, 45 minutes of lesson. The rest was just in communication and conversation, like really just getting to know what are their passions, like and engaged in the conversation. And that's the first both of us said, we're like, this is probably the most emotionally intelligent group we've ever worked with, that we're able to just tap in, identify, communicate, and like speak it into existence. It was like we probably learned more in both of those sessions than they did from us, and we went into mindfulness and how we do that. And
when you're a kid, you just don't want to, you don't want to sound stupid.
That's it.
You don't want to feel stupid. You don't want to feel like the question or the expression people are going to be like, really? Like, that's what you think. We're just like haunted with like thinking that people are always going to think no matter what we say or do is going to be fucking stupid. And why did you even say that? Mm-hmm. And you're just like, oh shit. Like me especially, dude, I'm like Chucky from Rugrats my whole life. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you've seen that cartoon, but for real, like really like should I? Like, okay. I don't know. Cause if I do, people might just grill me. Like I never just had that confidence until I was older to just be like, listen, bro, this is like me not giving a fuck is a superpower. Is a superpower. Me not chasing, these women or the, that money or like whatever that thing is a superpower.
Big time.
It's a superpower because like when you're in your 20s, that's what you think. That's the only thing you think matters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's not it at all. It is the community. It is the networking. Just being real, giving yourself. Emotionally to your friends, telling your friends you love them, giving them hugs. You're like not being like, dude, like we had all these stigmas when you're in high school, when you're in college, when you're coming up. No homo, no da 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 da. It's like, bro, I hug the shit out of my friends. I tell my friends I love them. Yeah. Like this is something that I've graduated to in my age. Like just being real, man, because I don't know, especially when you're older and people have died. Like you've lost people, and you just people died. Like people, like you're like, holy shit, this person just died at 40. Whether it was a celebrity and you've lost friends, you've lost family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like none of this matters. Like let's just be real. I want to know what's going on in your mind before something happens. Like I want to be real with you, so you know you can be real back with me. And then we can, you know what I'm saying? If there's some
I feel like the stakes are so much higher now, though. You know, it's like I could be bullied at school, but I could go home and we barely had internet. You know, we had like AOL chat and Yahoo chat. And
there's nobody to tell.
Like,
there was no.
I could go home and turn it off. You know, now you're plugged in everywhere,
Which is like a good thing and a bad thing, because it's like the good thing is that like there's more light on bullies and those types of things, so it's broadly not accepted, right? So people are like,
bro, like we're finding in the communities that we're at, like they've got full they got full like meme pages set up just to dog people out in the schools. They've got all these different secret hidden pages. They've got all these like it's broadly like no bully tolerance and all that kind of stuff. But the truth of the matter is like the actual like following through of that, like it's not the same school to school, because you gotta understand we're putting teachers in modes that you got some teachers that are going to be very passive. Like it's just human nature.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? It's leadership down. So you got some that are just toxic. You know, it's just human nature.
They're just going to enable and just.
So you've got some leadership in schools that do a very good job, and some just don't have the skills to be able to address these types of issues. So it's like, yes, that's the message that's put out by all of the world now. Like bullying is no longer tolerated.
Like you would think that like the average school person saw somebody being bullied, they'd like pull their phone out and be like, "This is fucked up." Like I'm not going to let this.
It sounds like it's just happening. Like they figured out a way to just get what they want, like on a sneaky. It's
on the internet.
Yeah, I'm just
So
realizing,
sneaky.
of course. Yeah,
you can't get away from it. You know, it's like I can do one thing and then it spreads around in a Snapchat or a IG or a TikTok, or even, you know, guys or girls sending out nudes or something like that, and that. All you have is your reputation in high school, like that. It's not everything. We realize that as adults.
And honestly,
but in that world, that is my whole world.
In my world, all I have is my reputation. At all, not in high school, right? Like even just now, like everything I do matters. Every missed appointment, every time I'm late, every time, like that all matters to me. You know what I'm saying? Like it really does carry a much more significance in your older and then when you're in high school, you know, it doesn't fucking matter. You just think it matters so much. Like we're just so consumed with what people think.
And it's magnified.
Because
now
you can unplug it, right? Like as people, like even as kids, and it's nearly impossible when you're in that young mindset, right? But we all have the physical ability to unplug from that matrix, like what you were saying. Like when you can kind of be woke, really just wake up to like, oh, like this is a choice. I don't even have to have an Instagram. I don't even have to be on Facebook. I could literally just live like it's 1952 and fucking like I can do that if I want to. You know what I mean? Like in a way, right? Maybe your job has an iPad or something like that. But like as far as like your personal life, you know, you can unplug from it. But there's so much good that comes with the plugging in. You know, you don't want to unplug for the bad and miss the good.
You also got to look at the students now. Like they had iPads and phones ever since they were little. You know, there's some that don't even remember a time without internet or Wi-Fi or any of these things.
That's where we're getting into.
And then you go in for some of our students that struggle and whatnot. They don't have any parental guidance at all at home to tell them don't get on it, or they're on it to disconnect from the trauma that's happening in the home. You know, you got toxic households and that's their only lifeline because maybe mom and dad are arguing and fighting every night, or somebody's getting abused or whatever the case. So it's like we're very unique. There's not going to be any blanket fixes here, man. If we really want to see like help in mental health, you got to do like full inclusive family help. You got to really get involved because every family's dynamic is different. They all come from different traumas. They all come from different, you know, the way they were raised, whatever. Like,
because those
every
kids
single
really,
family is unique.
those kids, they soak it up, dude. They're
time.
like
They're
everything, everything. They watch everything. You know,
Because it's all at their fingertips.
they're just right there. I mean, just even their parents, seeing how their parents interact, seeing how all that, you know, how their parents eat, how their parents, like what their parents do, how their parents treat other people, you know, how their parents are talking to the salesman on the phone, like just all that kinds of stuff.
Well, before we
just
become
don't
an
think
adult, it's like, that is our identity.
Yeah, like when my dad gets on the phone, he just tells that telemarketer to fuck off. You know what I'm saying? Like you're gonna be like, you know what I'm saying, or like, you know, like there's gonna be different.
I like that already.
You're gonna have a different, you know, because I grew up in such a strict household, right? Where it was like my mom, my stepdad, and it was just strict all the time. No, you can't listen to that. That's cussing. You can't stop.
Yeah.
No, you can't go there. That their parents are bad. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'd see the people that would just like their parents was, you know, when you were a kid, you thought that those were the cool parents. Yeah, they smoke weed at the house. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They can just, you know, they can just come and go whenever they want. There's no curfew. Have people over. And you thought that was the coolest shit. But, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't know that mom was on meth or that, like, you know what I'm saying? There was like abuse or like shit going on. You don't know. You're just like, oh, it's the cool house. And it's like, no. It's not. Like the structure, you know, when you're a kid, you see the structure as a bad thing.
Yeah.
Oh, these rules are going to
hold me down.
Trying to hold me down. I'm trying to be a
Trying to live.
captain.
Trying to live.
And it's like it's just weird how the dynamic changes when you're grown. And the things that were a prison to you when you're a kid are your sanctuary when you're an adult. And the things that, you know, because you were just like all those things, all the rules and all those things that your parents were trying to do to help you, even if they lied to you. No, I don't smoke weed. You know, whatever it was, right? Like they were trying to protect you.
Yeah.
That's all they were trying to do.
Do their best they could in the moment.
Trying to do the best they could because, you know, they just don't want their kid to grow up. Like my biggest fear is disappointing my parents.
Yeah, mine is breaking my mom's heart again, man.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't ever want to do
like
that again.
Like that, exactly.
You know?
Like just thinking of them being like, you know what I mean? And of course your parents don't really think like that, right? They probably like, no, I'm proud of you no matter what, man. Like you're doing good, right? And you're just like thinking, man, you know, am I?
Do it a lot.
Like, am I doing enough? Because I mean, my parents were like, the work ethic was different from like the past generation. Right? Like what you were saying about your mom, where it was the security in the building and she sacrificed. Maybe there was other things that she wanted to do, but she was like, that's not an option. I have to build this, this stability for my kid, for me, for my family. Yeah. And then we have the privilege where we're at to say, well, you know, maybe I just want to be an artist. Just travel around, you know.
It's so good, yeah. It
really is. Like it's like maybe I'll, you know.
Like
I mean,
he's really doing the voice in my head really good right now. You know what I'm saying? Like he sounds just like it. Just travel around.
Just fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like, you know, back in the day, you'd get bit by a
though.
snake and just die. Like, or you would just like, you know, you'd get something and they'd be like.
But those of you that want to go out and do art and travel around, like, just know there's so many resources out there. Like the ones I want to speak, like booking conferences, you know. What people don't know is in September, Arts Northwest is going to have a booking conference here in Spokane, you know? So if these are ways you want to go on and you want to learn, like just pay the registration fee and learn about agents, learn about booking agents, learn about performing art centers, learn about their managers, learn about the process, learn about other artists. I went to my first one and I wasn't trying to get no booking. I was like, I don't even know if hip hop's accepted here. First of all,
I just want to learn.
Like, I don't even know what it's about. I
want to soak it up. Yeah.
This guy was like, "Hey, I'll pay you $50 to come down and speak on a Native panel about the lack of Indigenous representation in the performing arts world." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." I go, "But let me counter. Keep your $50. Just get me registration for the 3 or 4 days, and I want to come experience the conference." He's like, "Boom, got you." So I went, and it ended up me and Maya Wynn, a folk artist, you know, not hip hop. But Maya Wynn, Heidi, and they invited me into their family, you know, and her manager, Heidi Du Bois. And now we collaborate with each other. So the first one I went to I got like people that look out for me. She gave me the email saying, hey, this Tulsa remote thing, like this looks like this would be something up your alley. Might want to give it a shot, you know? So 3 years down the road from when I met her at a booking conference, you know, shout out Heidi, you're sending me to Tulsa, you know,
that was the first one you went to.
First one I went to. And this, you know, who knows, like 3 years down the road, just, that's why I say networking, staying in contact, be genuine with your people.
And I think that
build relationships,
like,
man. This is long term.
You have to invest in yourself. You can't wait for it to be free
At all.
because you're going to have to pay the application fee.
Yep.
You're going to have to pay that beginning price. Like you can't wait for somebody to show up and say, hey, I want to give it to you.
Yep.
You got to pay and you got to invest in yourself and you got to get there.
Yeah.
And then you might get that opportunity. But you got to put yourself out there like you were saying. And you're sitting in your house. Nobody's going to call you one day and just say, you want to just make, you know.
Even the days of like a A&R exec finding you in the club. Like the old days, like, oh, he found me at this club performing and now I've got, you know, just this huge deal, this record deal, you know, like that doesn't happen anymore.
Because it's the music there's just music everywhere.
Yes.
The ability for somebody to record music in 1995 was so much different than the ability for somebody to record music right now.
Mm-hmm.
Back then there was no, like, it was a select amount of people could afford the equipment or had it at a place or was able to get a foot in the door. And now anybody can just Amazon a mic to their house and just put something on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music. You can start a podcast.
Yeah.
Come to Speak Studios. And I mean, you can do really anything that you want, you can do now, which is kind of crazy because there's less excuses than ever.
Facts.
Right now, because there's nothing that you can't know. There's nothing that you can't do.
Here's a funny story. So there's a youth that we were working with. Now he's an adult. Shout out Hunter from the Spokane Res. He would come to us, right? And how he started recording, he would get a beat off of YouTube, and then he would listen to it, write to it, and he had this app that was able to transfer his Instagram 1-minute video into an audio file. But when he did it, it would turn off the sound capability for him to play the beat on the phone. So he would do the video, he would get the beat and try to memorize the BPM in his head, and then he would spit that minute-long verse through a video, through that app to an audio, put it onto the beat, and then do whatever kind of little time chopping he needed to do to get it on rhythm.
Damn.
But like I was saying, no excuses. He was still like, hey, man, give me a shot, man. I'm trying to be a rapper.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, how can I not give you a chance? Like, you just broke down this. You couldn't even hear the beat to spit your verse like in a phone through an Instagram third-party app. Like, of course I'll give you a chance, bro.
Was it on Cadence?
No, not to begin with.
Not the
you
first
know,
one.
like not the first one. So
then you got him in the right situation.
Yeah,
and
I brought him.
nice.
I brought him to a performance, and I was like, "Yo, here's a couple things that I noticed. Like, here, spit this back to me." And then when he spit it, I'm like, "Now do it in this cadence and keep that cadence. This is what rhythm is. This is what tone. This is what delivery is." And after an hour and a half, he was starting to pick it up, and he comes back like 3 or 4 months later, and the kid's a phenom. Like, he looks up to this cat Token, you know, from the East Coast, and that cat can spit, and he spits like him with that fierceness and that the cutting of the cadences. And I'm like, yo, you've grown, you know. And it was just,
you know, the thing that I love to see is when those young kids, like when people are getting at it young, because I really feel like it's taken me a while to refine my craft because, you know, I just wasn't dedicated when I was a kid. When I was a kid, and when I say a kid, I'm talking 23, 24, 25. Like when I was a kid, I just didn't, you just don't see the things that are most important. That just sounds cliche, but
did you have the opportunity in front of you?
Yes. The opportunity was there. I had technology. I had friends around me. It was just a lack of it was privilege.
Oh yeah.
That's what it was. It was privilege. It was privilege, man. Like, I feel like when your back's against the wall, you'll go.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And when you know, comfort does not breed, you know, like people that excel, like, you know,
Yeah.
or
There's a quote that's
growth.
comfort and success cannot coexist.
Yeah.
You know,
You have to either be uncomfortable, not by choice, or you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable and know with your brain that that's the thing that's going to push you forward. And that's what I'm learning is tough.
There's been many youth that have come through. You know, we've been mentored through a lot of youth and a lot of young artists that are adults too. And there's only been a few that have hung around. It's been that, you know, it's all the talent, all the vibes. Like, you've got it, man. We can help you find it, you know. And they're just not ready.
It's not there yet.
Not there yet. So shout out to Noah and Moses, my two nephews that live with me. Like, Moses showed up at that residency and was like, "Hey, boss, like, I'm still going to high school. I don't know. I want to rap or something, you know." And bam, he got on a song right there in the residency. Just offered opportunity right there. And then he did a video in September, and on the video says, "I'm going to drop an album by my birthday, November 27th." Boom. November 27th came. He dropped a freaking album.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, you earned your shot. Want to come to this residency?
Yeah.
Like something that we'd never experienced. You're 18. You're a senior in high school. You're here at a residency with us, you know, because you put in work.
Bro, those are the type of people that do huge things.
Yeah.
And you said, well, how did you get here? Well, I was doing artist in residency when I was 18 years old.
It's like that Atlanta mindset, you know. It's like if you're at the top of the game and you're going to stiffen the people that are below you and then they rise to the occasion, like, you don't get to be a part of their growth story.
Yeah.
Whereas Atlanta, they're like, I want this cat and this cat to feature, because when they blow up, I want to be on their stuff, you know. I want to say I'm a part of their growth and the part of their success.
Well, it's crazy how it slingshots too. Like, you see artists that was so and you know, I wouldn't mind jumping into a little hip hop. But you see artists, like older artists, you know, all the older artists that we used to listen to, the Jada Kisses and the Fabulous, and you know, two of my
faves.
Who am I thinking? I'm thinking Snowman. Was Jeezy? Like all these guys, right? And then it's like they're swinging in young cats.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I never would have thought like these guys would be
Tupac and Outlaws, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but I think that these guys weren't like as. I never would have thought that these guys wouldn't be as relevant as I thought. Now, when you're thinking of the Jada Kisses and the Jeezys, like, you got the old heads that are like, yeah, but then like the kids are like, who's that? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, damn, you know what I'm saying? And it's almost disconnect. Like those older rappers are really relying on those younger rappers that they were given a leg up to kind of slingshot them back into relevancy too.
Yeah, and that another shout out to my nephew Noah. It's crazy. Like, he'll bring in. He's another one of those success stories. Picked up a beat machine February 2 years ago when we moved into the place that we were in, right? Mm-hmm. Hadn't wanted to produce. He'd been doing a band, you know, in high school. Mm-hmm. Amazing jazz saxophonist.
Wow.
And he picked up Machine at first because that's what I was working with, Machine Studio. Mm-hmm. And didn't like it. And then dude came through and showed him FL Studio, you know, and he picked it up and whatnot. And now he's, 2 years in, didn't know how to make a beat, and is making beats and records for all of our collective. Like, all of us are like, yo, like, you're amazing, right? Like, you're tight, right? Like, we're pumping him up. And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty cool. And like, no, like, you're official. Like, he's probably the one out of everyone that we've worked with that I go, this kid's a prodigy. Like, I don't put that around lightly.
He's got the passion,
skill, like that genius mindset. Like Darby's got. Darby will solder his own instruments. It's wild, man. He takes a Dora the Explorer tape deck player, pink with the picture of Dora, everything this tall from a yard sale for like $2. Rewired the side of it so it'll stick into your audio interface. He'll put a real cassette tape in there so that when it plays, it brings in real tape saturation from a Dora the.
Wow.
Like,
that's a real producer right there.
Yeah, took the old phones and then rewired it in so it sticks in your interface. When you speak into it, you sound like you're on a freaking telephone, like from the 90s, bro.
Because he's just saying to hell with plugins and all this fake shit. I want to recreate this exactly. Yeah. And that's how I'm gonna be more authentic.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, his
bro.
lo-fi's off the hook.
That's beautiful.
So look up DJ Spicy Ketchup.
Yo, DJ Spicy Ketchup, man. He did a really cool one with TS. And he did a really cool one with Matisse. Actually, he did a real hot one with Matisse on that little album that he put out.
Yep.
I wish I could remember the album off the top of my head, but I can't. But
Songs You Can Dance To.
Songs You Can Dance To. That's right.
I'm all over that album too. Bro.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay.
The COVID song, man.
See,
The COVID. That's me.
James,
and him,
I
man.
feel like you're like undercover. Like
People don't even know.
People don't know.
No, people don't know.
You know, and that's another reason why I wanted to bring you on, because
Visibility, man.
it's just it's so wild to me how underrated producers are.
Yeah.
And just the people that are behind the scenes in the music
Yeah.
that don't get the credit that the rapper gets, or the you know like Dr. Dre gets credit for being a producer, but most producers don't get that credit. There's a few producers, and I feel like when somebody makes a beat and produces the record, that's more than 50%.
Yeah, like I'm not very good at beat making. I'm really not, but I've got a producer mindset, you know. So it's like I can hear. I don't know. To me, it's just intuitive. Like, okay, you need a melody here, and this is the melody that would rock. You need boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Like a P. Diddy that can come in and be like, yo, hit this rhythm, hit this cadence. Oh yeah, keep that. Hey, rewrite this.
Yo,
to
let me
this,
get in the back. Hey.
Yeah, do some. Yeah, I'll do that. Hoo-yeah. You know, we got these. You know, and as well as and I can guide instruments as well and be like, hey, here's. And I don't know how to read music. I don't know how to do any of that.
Do you play any instruments?
I was a drummer. I was a hardcore drummer. Like,
really?
in marching bands and jazz band and all of that from 5th grade all the way up through like 10th grade. And then,
wow.
Yeah. And then I think that's where I get, you know, a lot of the cadences from my style is through drumming.
So did you listen to a lot of hip hop when you were a kid?
Not too much. No, I was rock, you know, I was country family. You know, I come straight from the middle of the res, horse racing, country people, like Guns N' Roses. Like that was my first love, you know, but early on I was really infatuated with Bone Thugs. Like Busy Bone is still like, whew, that guy, man. He was that first one that spoke to me, you know. I was like, damn, that the way he sung and
it's funny, I was
rhythms and
putting my younger friend onto Bone Thugs and some of the older ones. We used to skip school, man, and just sit in the car and smoke, and it was just Bone Thugs, bro. It was just like nobody could chop like that and hit those cadences and melodies like they did, man. Who do you think has really influenced you the most as far as artists are concerned? Just artists in general. It doesn't have to be hip hop.
Yeah. I think the biggest influences for me growing up was like my mom and them. Like everybody can play piano and guitar and sing. Like they put their own album out called Sisters, right? Where they, like a couple of my younger cousins like can hit soprano, and then my mom and like all her sisters and stuff, a lot of them hit that alto, and some can hit that tenor, you know. So they would put these, you know, they'd go into the studio and they'd cut these like country gospel
your families
albums.
Put out an album?
Yeah, I mean, just like, you know, just albums together, you know. It's like,
just put out bodies of work. That's all.
Yeah,
that's a great name.
Like, I was like, Sisters.
Yeah, I like that.
It was cool.
It's killing it. It's killing it.
Bro, because my family hasn't put out any records.
Really, like, my Uncle Ed would get me down in the basement. He'd have me just belting out the top of my lungs, like America, Oh Beautiful, and like all, you know, these, and he'd just be teaching me how to play piano.
Those got to be great memories, man.
Oh, big time. You know, she was, you know, my mom was the first one that she'd play guitar, and she'd have me on stage in front of hundreds of people singing like, you know, songs about Jesus and all.
Really,
this
as a
stuff,
kid,
like 8-9 years old, you know, and I didn't even think about that when I first got into music. Like it would come back up, and I'd be like, damn, that's where my foundation is. Like way back then,
you didn't even realize that that's a part of
performing arts.
Yeah, like
it's a part of you now.
Yeah, it's a part. Like I've never been afraid of crowds or being in front of people or anything like that. It's, I don't know, it's where I gain some of my power, you know.
Yeah,
like I can hold a presence well there, where not everybody's.
So when you get up there, you know, do you feel any nerves beforehand?
Oh yeah,
but it's when you get up there, it goes away.
Yeah, once I'm up, I mean, even first couple minutes sometimes, you know, there was this, like, I remember speaking in Yakima. It was at the state conference for co-occurring disorders. There's only 5 speakers there, like all doctors and me, you know, and I'm like, that was nerve-wracking. I'm speaking to a room of 500 of mental health professionals. Like, I'm not just speaking to
You're like, am I qualified to be here?
I didn't feel like I didn't, you know. I felt like, what am I even doing here? There's 4 doctors, and I'm speaking to doctors and
like I'm educating y'all. Like what?
Like masters and like.
Did you break through to them?
Some of them, yeah, I did, and then afterwards they let me hold they call them breakout sessions, but I broke down the room, decolonized the whole room. I said, no, we're not sitting with me up front. We're all going to sit in a big ass circle, and we're going to talk about some real stuff that's going on in your communities, and like abuse came up, racism came up. It was 180 people came to my talking circle, like one of the biggest talking circles.
Wow.
And it was just like, so I did break
you
through.
bring people together, bro.
And then it was wild to hear these adults like of different races speak about each other to your face with respect. It was like, it was intense. It was intense.
Whoa, that's crazy.
So afterwards, one of the people that were there, they were like, "You're probably I've never seen that before. Like adults be able to have a conversation like that without freaking out, And I was like, I never did either.
So
This is amazing.
have you done that before? Like, is that?
I mean,
is
I've
that what
held
you do
sessions
to help like create that circle and
big time. Like, because and that's the first announcement is I don't care if you're a doctor here. I don't care if you're a police officer. I don't care if you're 6 years old. Like, you have an equal voice here. Everybody's opinion matters. Rank and class don't have a thing here. That's why you're all sitting in a circle. We're all equals. We're going to break down this power struggle that everybody's in, especially, when you get into these professional, these rooms where you're in front of just professionals. It's not just a community room anymore. You're dealing with people that went to school for 12 years to get their degree, and
that's how you started it too. You started it off just listen. I'm gonna break it down.
Yeah, it's everything. You got to send that message. Be strong with intent from the beginning to let you know. Like the ones that are timid, let you know your voice matters here. The ones that are coming here with ego to break you down. I'm speaking to all of you. Let's level. Let's bring you ones up. Let's break you down. All in the same statement. Let's go. We're losing this battle.
So these people
losing our people
really need you. You're very needed in the sense of needing somebody to come here and just, because whether you're the person that has the ego or whether you're the person that's kind of timid and wants to speak up but doesn't feel like your voice matters because the people with the egos next to you are gonna drown you out. Yeah, I feel like that's a huge thing, and people need that mediator. They need that person to come in and just take control, and that's
why I call it decolonizing. You know what I'm saying? Because this is just a way of how we held community from time immemorial. Before colonization, like in our meetings and stuff, like everyone had a voice. And if a 2-year-old was up jibber jabbering and it was their turn and they lasted for a half hour, well, guess what? We're going to listen for a half hour. Mm-hmm. We're going to respect people's time, and we're going to respect their voice so that they know in their heart when they walk out of their room, like, I matter, I exist, and I'm here, and I'm worthy. Like too many people don't believe that at all.
Well, I think listening is a big thing.
Biggest.
That, and I think it's a big thing that people lack.
Lost art.
Yeah, people don't. One reason why I do this podcast, because I love to listen. I want to hear the story. I want to understand, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of just waiting to talk in life, right? Waiting to respond.
Yeah. There's also listening to respond.
Listening to respond. You're talking to somebody, and then they're kind of,
oh man.
Oh yeah. Or have you ever been talking to somebody and telling them something you're really passionate about, and then they just literally like, "Yo, did you see this meme, bro?" And
my nephews all the time. I'm sorry,
like,
you guys, I threw you out, but
I'm just like, man, bro, like I'm being real with you right now, and you're or you ever say something that you thought was funny, and then someone laughs, and then they're like, "You see this meme?" And I was like, I thought you was laughing at what the fuck I was saying, bro.
The worst.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro, like
frustrating.
That not feeling of inclusion, killer.
Yeah.
When you just do that small act of making people feel included, people melt. I love it. You just want to feel a part of something. That's all people want. And in high school, in those younger ages, I feel like that's the hardest thing. Mm-hmm. You just want to feel a part of something special. And when you can take your nephew that's 18 years old and bring him to an artist in residency and give him purpose, that fucking pumps him up.
Yeah.
He's like, what's
up? Remember that for the rest of his life.
I got these dudes think I'm dope.
Yeah,
and like, I'm kind of, I know I'm kind of doing something, but these motherfuckers are like convinced that I'm dope. Like, that does something for you, man, to project you. Having positive role models that are older than you, and mentors and people that you look up to that can guide you, and just people that you respect. And parents, it's kind of like, yeah, mom, yeah, dad, I know. Yeah. But when, when it's somebody that's not too much older than you, maybe 7, 8, 9 years older than you, and they're, you look up to them, you think they're cool, and they're being real with you. Like, don't be a dumbass. Like, this is what you got. You got to go to school. You got to graduate. Come on. Like, graduate, get your degree, and then go do whatever you want, whatever. Like, then you have your degree, and then you can, go be an artist. And if that doesn't work out, you got your degree.
Yeah. That was the deal I made with my nephew. I go, I'll teach you, and I'll give you all the opportunity you want. You can learn, you can grasp. I'll give you everything. If you just finish your audio engineering degree, that's it. This is the exchange. Like, at least just that. If you don't want to do that at all, do whatever you want, bro. But you're gonna grow in the process. And now he's taking it full on.
And you can't take that from him
at all.
Like, when he has that, when you get that degree, like, you did that. It means something.
You did that, buddy.
Regardless if you can't take that, you get a degree and you can't find a job, you can't do this or that. It means something.
Oh, big time. Just given the opportunity. And it goes even smaller scale from the whatever we're offering, whether it's a verse on a residency or whatever. Like, TS and I really talk about it all the time. That's what we started New Age Warriors and did that Empower Our Future movement, was both of us, yes, having some opportunity, but not at this level. Yeah. It's like, okay, how do we offer freely without any, you got to make it up to this certain level before I'm going to give you a shot, homie. You got to show me that you're about it before I'll give you an effort. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, let's at least get him in the studio. Let's get him on a verse. Let's make sure that we offer opportunity, be the big bro, be the mentor that I didn't have. Yeah. I was given opportunity. I had to wait till I was 18 though, and I was trying to navigate all this pain and trauma.
The earlier you can start, if Tony Hawk's kids are busting kickflips at fucking 7 years old, you know that they're gonna be skating when they're 19. So get them in there young. Like, that's just it just start, like, when you think about it too, like, a lot of people like to be like, oh, well, he was meant for this. Oh, born for this. Oh, naturally gifted. Those are things that always come up. But it's like Michael Jordan wasn't naturally gifted at basketball. Like, Michael Jordan just hit jump shot after jump. He just did more jump shots than he just practiced harder than anybody. And that's why he's Michael Jordan. That's why he's not just a professional basketball player that, you kind of forgot their name. That's why he's Michael Jordan.
Take that mindset.
Because he just, like, when you have that mentality, then oh, that's it? So I could just do that. Then I could just work really hard and just be better than everybody else and just shine in my craft.
Yeah, my
God. Because when you take away I was born with it, he was born with it, then it's obtainable for everybody, and anybody can do it. And anybody can sing. Anybody can go get voice lessons. Anybody can learn the guitar. Anybody can learn the piano. Nobody was born just playing the piano. You had to learn how to play the piano. You had to learn. And get out there and learn it. There's just so much opportunity to float through life and to not learn anything. You look at other countries, they've learned 3, 4, 5 languages. We're just like, English, I don't know. Like, I
don't even know if I want to learn that.
Right? And over there, it's just like, wow, really? Yeah, I know all these, it's just second nature for them to be challenged, to be learning, to get those degrees, to all those things are building blocks for yourself. It's not about impressing your parents. It's not about, all these other things that when you're a kid, you think, oh, my parents are trying to make me do this. They're trying to make you do it because it's a building block that's going to make you a better person, because you don't see the mentality that you're going to be in when you're 31 years old, when you're 28 and you've been drinking every night and you're kind of just like, I'm going down a weird path.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad my mom had that work ethic, because she never pushed anything on me, right? And I was in that mode in my whole 20s, probably 18 to damn near 30, right? Like, I didn't care. I just wanted to make money easy so I didn't have to work, because I knew the work that I was qualified for at that time, which was like dishwashing job. Like, all I had is, high school diploma. I don't got no college degrees or anything like that. So it was like, I limited myself from growing, and it was just like, I'm just okay with where I'm at then.
Yeah. Because this is what I can get.
BS, it led to some BS that hit me up my head. But my mom had that work ethic her whole life. So once I finally found my purpose, like that shit is instilled in me, you know? So boom.
You just had to find the purpose. That's what you got to tell these kids, man, is they need to just find that purpose. What's that thing that fulfills you? And it's a journey.
Lights that fire.
Because you're not going to be 17 and just be like, oh, I know my purpose. Like you ever ask somebody, like a kid, like, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Only
You're
advice in that is that, let's say you find something, right? Don't let that limit you. Like I started like, okay, I'm going to be a public speaker. I only got one arm and that's what I'm going to do. That's my life. I'm going to be the next Les Brown, you know? So I go and I start doing that. I'm like, yo, maybe I can start adding in some poetry or some music or something. I start dabbling into that. And now I'm getting fellowships and I'm doing these grants and all this stuff.
So don't be afraid to let it transform you.
At all. And then COVID hits, right? So thank God I got gods, visionaries around. Like TS is, to me, is a god. He's a visionary, you know. Bobby, the same. We hit each other, like we speak, like we're, you know, often, every day.
And these are the people that you're surrounding yourself with.
Big time. We're having daily conversations about spirituality, about growth, about where our mental's at, you know. And we hit like, yo, we ain't gonna have the same access to a community. What are we gonna do? Like the world's shutting down. This is February last year, April. Yeah. And we're not gonna have, you know, probably the same access to our video guys or anything. What are we gonna do? Like, screw it, man. Let's get into making our own. So got a phone and a phone gimbal and just started making little things,
like
right?
It doesn't stop. Yeah.
And then bam, started getting bookings from that, and then went and did like 13 performing artists, like short documentaries in like 3 months. You know what I'm saying? Like 10-minute documentaries, like actual films. Yeah. Right. With my homegirl, Roxanne Best. And bam, got the A7 III, went and shot the whole film stuff for our residency. So all that's going to be a documentary as well. It's like, don't let like one lane think that, oh, that's my only purpose. Right. Because now it's like, oh, I'm a great speaker. That's my purpose. Oh, I'm an artist too. That's my purpose. Oh, now I'm
doesn't have to be film one producer. Purpose.
Oh, my purpose. Yeah. And now it's like me. I feel like my purpose is to hold space, create this like level of authenticity right from the bat. You know, like let's be our realest selves. I have a gift in that. Yeah. And then I'm a storyteller. That's it. I can say all day, oh, I'm a performing artist. I'm a film producer. I'm this. I'm that. I'm just a storyteller in any way that.
But see, you've taken these specific things that you've always put yourself in that box, and now you've become there's a bigger purpose.
Yeah, bigger. Like I put myself in that box. Yeah, don't box yourself in.
I think that you surround yourself with good people, right, and people that you look up to, people that are doing things that inspire you.
Younger than me, and I look up to them.
And it's like, you know? A lot of people put themselves around people that they're just most comfortable with. Oh, my cousin, you know, he's crazy.
Or that I can be the one to flex.
Yeah, or you get to be the best one.
Be the top dog.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. So you always put yourself around people that are weaker than you.
Power struggle.
Good
that's
point.
See, that's a bad one.
That's good point.
That is a really bad one, because then you start the false realities where you're thinking you're the damn president of the United States.
And then QAnon comes.
yeah, bro. But that's and that's why I wanted to ask you this. Do you think that there's because this is kind of a tricky question. Like, do you think that bullying helps people?
No, not at all.
Like, not at all. Like going through
trying to break someone's spirit? Never.
Well, I mean, just like, I guess more like people encountering those, just the bad parts of life early, because when you're grown, it seems like anything could happen, right? And
like you get fuel from it later.
Well, like somebody could just fucking punch you in the head when you're pumping gas, like as an adult. Like I when I'm working at work, I'm just thinking at any time when someone's reaching in their bag or something, I don't know what could happen. Like anything could happen, right?
Real talk.
And so I'm just like I don't think, like, obviously don't condone bullying, but I'm just wondering if it like encountering that type of struggle and that type of mean person and nastiness of the world can help in the long run with expectations in life.
Oh, definitely. I think it can help raise awareness for what's out there and how to maneuver.
This exists. Yeah.
Okay, this exists out there. This is how, because each of us maneuver differently. You know, some of us got that flight response. You know, we're all going to be, everything's going to be different.
Mine was always flight. I was like, Peace.
I don't know. I was different depending on how much alcohol I had in me, I think.
Yeah.
But mostly flight, yeah. But I think the awareness is good because we can't get around it. This is the way the world is in some ways. So the awareness is key. But like the experience of it happening to you
Can be traumatic.
completely traumatic. It could change your whole existence.
But then it's like also if you never experienced bullying and then experienced it at 25 and you don't know how to deal with it, that could be traumatic,
wreck your whole
right? Because then then you're supposed
you
to
off.
be you're a man, you're grown, and this is happening to you.
Mm-hmm.
Can make you feel even more weak, I'm sure. So it's just
It's
I don't
deep,
know.
man.
Bullies are out there. Like
Big time.
they're out there. They're on the internet. They're in real life, and they're never going to go away. And drugs are never going to go away. And prostitution's never going to go away. And none of these things are ever going to go away. And people are never going to stop doing them. And that's why I'm a big proponent of just taking things head on. And education, like parents should educate their kids on what drugs are and what bullying is.
Oh yeah.
And you know what I mean? What sexual abuse is. What all these things. Like you should be aware and not be
yeah.
afraid. Parents are afraid to communicate with their kids.
Yeah.
And it's tough, I'm sure.
It's wild, bro. It's a hard thing to say that we need to make them aware so young, right? But I remember going to a community and I go, what's the youngest we should start talking about these kind of things?
Mm-hmm.
And they go, well, we had one kid come to school in 5th grade, tested positive for methamphetamines. I went, oh, well, let's start with 4th grade then. That's where we kind of came up with this, like, okay, we need to educate at 4th grade. And as if we hear of any younger, then we're going to go a grade lower.
See, it's crazy because people would think like, oh, well, if that happened at that age, then we just got to not talk about it at all. Where it's like, no, we need to dig in. And obviously,
that's the pattern of our communities.
Crazy.
That's the pattern of our communities. There's people that will get abused and their own dads or uncles will be like, no, you can't. Don't say that out loud because now people are going to look at you differently or look at me differently or, it's manipulation and control. It's not love.
That's fucked up. Yeah, and that's so true. And how many people, friends do you have or something that, started like I started smoking weed when I was like 16 and, there's a lot of kids, I was smoking when I was 10. And it's just like, wow.
I was given alcohol my first time by my babysitter and blacked out when I was 11.
Wow.
Yeah. Later in life, she committed suicide. I went out on the porch later that night, and her boyfriend gave me a hit of weed and a pop can pipe. Same night. I didn't know what it was. Put it up to my face, and I took a hit, and it burnt my chest. So I blew it all back into the can and blew the weed everywhere. Slapped me in the face, or slapped me in the back of the head, not the face. Sorry, slapped me in the back head. Was like, man, you waste all my weed, boy. I was like, what? That's weed.
Like, bro,
he died with his wife in a drunk driving accident.
Jesus.
Both of them passed on that same night.
Same night?
No, and I'm just saying this. She gave me alcohol. I blacked out. He gave me weed that same night that they did. Now they're both gone.
Wow. It's just how quick it can happen, man. We just got to really be. That's why
vigilant in
and alcohol,
finding self
and these things like that, like. They all affect people different, and the mental approach to them are all different.
Mm-hmm. Well, think of alcohol's introduction into the European world and even Asia. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, right? You can go back and there's reports of people drinking and having a good time, back to Babylon and all these different, these different countries have different histories, but alcohol was present. Mm-hmm. It was introduced to Native Americans just like 300 years ago. So my theory is that we're allergic to it. Other people have had multiple generations to come to terms with alcoholism in their blood, and we haven't. We didn't know what alcohol was.
Well, who would think? Like, who would think that it would be like that? That there could be alcoholism in your blood? Like, nobody would assume that. Nobody would think that. They would just think, oh, if you drink, this is what happens, and that's it. Because I've never blacked out in my life, and people always talking about blacking out, right? When I was younger and shit, and people, I blacked out, and I just woke up, and I was like stuff you were saying. I was doing this. I drove. I didn't even know how I got there. I just woke up home. Like that's so scary to me, you know, that could you could just be
I
that.
used to take pride in it. I would go to my homeboys the next morning and we'd be smoking or whatever and be like, yo, what happened last night? You know, and just laugh at the stories of what, oh man, you did this crazy shit.
Because you got,
like, damn, I can't believe I did that. No, I didn't.
You hadn't seen how bad it could get.
Yeah.
You were just like, oh,
and
we got
just
away.
To educate people
Got
on
lucky.
blacking out. There's alcohol poisoning. There's death. There's alcohol poisoning. There's blacking out. And then there's being drunk. Like your body is shutting down. Your brain and your body are shutting down so that you don't die. You're close to death when you're blacking out.
Bro, alcohol is definitely
Wow.
it's mean, bro. Alcohol is mean. Like I feel like we've all been there to where it's like
had me for a decade,
or even just a night. Stop this.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a fine line for me. I like a couple drinks, feel a little bit cool, but it's never been my main thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, because it's scary, it really is a scary thing, you know. And people are, you know, do crazy stuff. In that story you were telling about robbing that convenience store and watching yourself on the footage.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't remember any of this happening
at all. Like my lawyer was like,
insane.
My homeboy was there with me. Hitman, you'll laugh at this. He was there with me, you know, like when we went to see the lawyer the first time. And she's like, what? You don't remember any of this? And I was like, nah. And she was laughing at me. She's like, what? And I was just like, damn, I was humbled. You know what I'm saying? In that moment, my own lawyer was just like.
Well, it's fucked up because you know, like you were saying at the cops, you're like, well, what did I do? And it's just like, don't lie to me.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, what did I do? Like, I dude, it's like you're going to jail. Like,
sobering experience,
dude. That's got to be an insane experience. It just how did I? Why? How did what?
How do you tell your community and your
and
family?
especially you're saying, you know, this guy, like I respected this dude that I went to the store.
I was about to sell him a cell phone, bro.
Really? I would never do this guy wrong
at all.
You're just a different person.
Good dude. Yeah, I'm a beast. Just an animal.
Just don't like disconnect from who you are, I guess is the advice to a lot of people. Like alcohol.
And that was what I was doing.
Things.
I was doing it to block a trauma. I wasn't drinking just to enjoy because I couldn't, man. I was numbing what had, you know, at that point, I'd never told anybody about the abuse. Mm-hmm. Nobody knew who did it. I was in prison at 30 years old when I finally told a counselor. I finally got help in there from the Rehabilitation of Drug Abuse Program, RDAP. I called my mom that same night, was like, hey, here's, you know, I just want you to know, this is who did it. This is what happened. And finally, at 30, she's like, hey, I want to tell you a little bit of our family history, and I've been waiting for this day. And let's have a conversation, you know.
And that's when it was an open book right there, and you were able to understand. I realized
the power and vulnerability. When you have a supportive support system, that you can have the freedom to be vulnerable and allow yourself to let go of whatever is ailing you, you know. Be careful about your support system because they can flip and use that shit against you, especially in high school. You know, we educate them every time. If you're going to talk, make sure you got to build the support system. Maybe start with a counselor or a school counselor or a teacher you trust or something. If you don't feel like your friends can hold that in, because
young people, you know, it's not. They're not thinking about it in the same realm as an adult
at all.
They're gonna tell somebody and. You know, it's going to spread around, and that causes more trauma.
Yeah, sometimes death. You know.
Oh, it's crazy, man, because we don't think about the stuff. You know, I'm one of those guys that's guilty of I kind of live in a bliss of just like, you know, I want to keep it positive and happy, and I want to empower the people around me to be happy and positive, and to not forget about the problems, but to kind of live in the gratefulness and the thankfulness that we have to just be here. You know, I feel like that is such a blessing to just have the opportunity. Imagine the people that you know that aren't here anymore, and like you're here.
And I live in that now too. I live in that gratitude and stuff. I think it was our first show at Lake Roosevelt. We did that show, and I had the same mindset still. I'm going to give my message. It's hard, but it's hope and it's resilience, and we're going to live with this, you know, humility and gratitude in life, right? And then bam, like Lou, me, TS are getting flooded with IGs and like messages like, yo, like what happened to you happened to me, or this is happening to me right now in my own house, or my mom and dad are beating each other, or my dad's beating me, or all this stuff, right? From the very students we just got done speaking to. And at that moment, we were like, okay, like the veil's off, and this is no longer a show. This isn't entertainment anymore. This is a responsibility. We got lives at our hands. And if we're gonna open that book, then we got to be there. Like maybe not like, oh, we're gonna be at your every beck and call, but we're gonna be there as a support system to let you know you're not
As a
alone.
mentor, as guidance.
Yeah, that was a awakening moment right there. We're like, okay, this is bigger than us. This is bigger than a show. This is bigger than music. Like, if we're gonna go about this, let's create a business structure and let's do this responsibly with intention. You know, and that's what we did. I
think that a lot of these people that you look up to, you know, they look up to you, man. Like you are such a leader in your intent and what you want to do and where you're going, you know. And I feel like, you know, we all have value, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of age or what craft you're in.
Big time.
And we got to be vulnerable with each other and allow people to speak, to dig out those gems.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And sometimes the greatest part of a leader is allowing others to lead, you know, stepping out of that and being like, yo, you've got worth. Let me follow you in this section. And when I feel like I can step in and do a little bit or something, then I will.
Mm-hmm.
But let me check my ego first and be like, yo, let me learn. Because this shit is a continuous marathon. This ain't no sprint. I might know more today.
That's how you really grow, is that statement right there.
Big
It's
time.
being able to step aside.
Got to.
That's how you really grow.
That's what I learned at the residency too. I'm like, yo, like we're doing this DCM collective thing, and you guys, like, you've jumped in every car I've asked you to jump in, but I want to start jumping in yours. Let's change the way that we're doing things, because this is not sustainable for me or you. You're just jumping in because you love me, and I'm tired. We got to do this together. I'm gonna step back, and I want to let you guys lead in certain like aspects. Let's do this together. Let's figure out what this new model looks like in 2021, and let's figure out what this group is. What is our meaning? What's our vision? It's no longer mine anymore. I'm tired of it being that.
That's why I like the word empower. Empower, because you're empowering the people in your circle too, and the people that you're working with to, you know, you're empowering them. It's not like you're just leading, they're following you. Like you said, you're putting them in the driver's seat. You're empowering them. Let me follow you. I don't know everything. You have your own superpowers. I'm trying to soak up some game from you. Game from me? I'm 20. What do you mean? You're 37. What do you mean? You got a completely different perspective. I could learn so much from you.
So much.
That is the most humble, mature stuff I've ever heard.
Yeah, it was cool. John Crown coined this phrase, and he lets us use it now when we're in front of the youth. But he goes, man, the biggest statement that you guys make and what you're doing is you're not here to tell anybody that they're great. You're just here to remind them of their own greatness. You know, that's all it is that empower is not, I'm not here to power you up or you power me up. I'm here to wake up that empowerment in yourself. That's a self identity. It's not me giving it to you.
It's already there.
It's already there. We're just waking things up that are just there waiting to be woken.
You're watching that damn Michael Jordan video, bro, and you're just like, you're getting awakened while you're in there, and you're just like, oh,
totally inspired.
But it's a real person right in front of you. So
it's
like,
I mean, if Michael Jordan was right in front of you, hitting jumpers and talking, you'd be like,
I remember when Gary Payton came to Lake Rose to our res. His res was on fire.
He did?
Heck yeah. He came and did the clinic and everything, man. It was cool. It was Gary Payton on the res.
Gloves on, them
I'm
shoes.
saying.
Damn.
Yeah.
oh man, that's amazing.
GP2s, man.
Yeah,
Dude,
I just want to
glowing ones.
I want to reiterate something on here, because it was one of the most powerful moments of this episode for me was when I asked you who was your biggest influence musically, and you said your family, your mother and her sisters, and
like, we're native, you know, so
that's amazing to me, man.
A lot of the music, like we've got a lot of funerals that happen from young to old. Like our death rates are significantly higher than other nationalities, and you'll, like, being someone that sings at funerals and stuff like that, that's a calling, you know, and she'll sing at dozens of funerals, you know, every year.
Wow.
So it's like, it's always been there, you know, from life, breathing life, and then, you know, sending people
And
off
just,
on their journey.
just
in
the
right way.
response, man. The response when I ask somebody that question, and for you to give me that answer, just shows you the maturity and the way that you look inside yourself. And just so happy to have you here, dude.
Thanks, man.
So you're going to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yep. I got a 1-year business fellowship, so I'll be there to learn some new business models. They got some startup incubators there. You know, like they've got a space called 36 Degrees North. It's just like terrain. Okay. So I get a year membership there, along with, you know, some money to be able to help me pay my bills.
So that way when they're rolling out and music's coming back, you'll be on the forefront of that.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
pretty
sir.
cool, man. And it's the things that you've done that have opened up the doors to get you where you're going.
Man. Yeah. It's that starting to come into that realization of being like, sometimes I'm almost too humble. I don't pat myself on the back enough, you know.
Yeah.
And the residency helped me, like the guys just speaking about what we've done over the last 2 or 3 years. It's like, wow, there's been monumental growth, you know, that I don't allow myself sometimes to feel and be gracious of.
Because why do we? You're on this side, and then you go here to the extreme, where you don't give yourself credit because you were down here.
Yeah.
Where
self-defeating pride.
Self-defeating, and then you're up here, and you just can't. It's that weird balance, man, of
especially when you got low self-worth or low self-value.
That mind-heart, like the mind-heart, like you're following your heart, your gut, but you have to use your brain, and you have to balance the emotions that you're having with what you know is right, what you know is smart, but you can't be too smart. You can't outsmart your heart
at all.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you do that, then you just find yourself in a position you don't want to be in. And then if you go too much heart, not enough brain, then you find yourself behind.
Or overworked, you know,
or overworked,
or overextended. That's what I have a trouble doing, you know, and I've noticed that a lot. I overextend, I overdo things as a way to make up for either lost time or for the hurt that I caused the world, you know. Wow. So I got to find to always constantly every day telling myself like I'm enough. I've done enough. Even to this point today, I've done enough.
Do you feel like you're running out of time?
No, not at all. I feel like I'm just getting started.
Good.
Like nobody even knows who James Pakootas is yet, and I've already traveled all over the states, waiting to go all over the world. But just in a couple years, I've been in every pocket now, and I've only performed once. I've only dropped 4 songs.
So in the amount of time that you were abusing substances, doing all these things, right? That you look back on, you're like, what the hell? And then the amount of time that you have progressed in your craft, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's 2 totally different stories.
Like when you see the amount of growth and how quick it's happened, and then you kind of use that number to see where you can be in 5 years.
Dude,
that's got to be exciting.
Oh, big time. Big time, especially, you know, now that we're going into film. You know, it's like the whole new world of possibilities that we know nothing about, you know. Thank God. Shout out Ben Alex Dupree, like Hollywood film director that's he's in our corner, my mentor, business partner.
This might be the first Happy to Be Here podcast that has like credits of just people that like credits like that. We're like, okay, go Google this guy. Because you dropped some name, you dropped at least 4 names. I'm just like, okay, who's that? Okay. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. Okay.
Google
I gotta look that up.
Yeah, like the names that I did, we just won LA Skins Fest, which a lot of people don't know about, but it's a film festival for natives, but it's run by industry professionals, you know, so like NBC and like Netflix and HBO and all these different partners are the ones that do it. And the people that selected our film, like on the judging panel, was a producer of The Simpsons. You know what I'm saying? So like he doesn't know who I am, but now he's heard our work, you know. We scored this animated piece, and now we've got a film award, you know. So it's like industries, lanes, limits, like they don't exist if you don't believe that they do. Like they don't. You don't have to live by anybody else's expectations. Oh, I'm a hip hop artist. Let me just stick to that. Like the albums are like or not the albums, but the songs I dropped, hip hop, R&B, and then like a dubstep folk remix with an artist, you know, and then went to By Design, which was this melodic lo-fi hip hop, you know. So it's like, I don't want to, I'm a multifaceted human being, you know, and
Don't
every
put me
one
in
of
a
us
box,
are,
bro.
every one of us are like,
Yeah.
This art has depth, is what I'm learning. This all has real deep.
Bro, you've inspired the shit out of me just sitting here with you right now. Just this is the Jordan video, because I'm going to leave this podcast wanting to be a better person.
oh, beautiful.
And I think that the people listening to this podcast will probably feel motivated too, man. And
Bro,
you know,
like every time that I step and I see you and we have our conversations, even if it's just like 5 minutes, I walk away knowing, like, in my heart that I'm right where I'm supposed to be, you know, and you bring that out of me, you know what I'm saying? Like, you instill that same inspiration. Like, I see, like, the 4 bars you and Matisse be kicking, like, for constant, like, for how long now? Like, that stuff is inspiring because it's that act of doing, you know? It's like, we're going to learn along the way, and we're going to get better, and we're going to sharpen, you know?
It's funny because shout out to TS. He was the one that actually reached out to us and said, why don't you guys, I can't remember how he worded it, but it was a while ago, and he was just like, why don't you guys just do 4 bars every day or something like that? And he did it with us, and you know, that's why he's such a leader too, because he's the one that told me and Mike to do it. He was like, you guys should do this just every day. He said, I challenge you. Ooh. That's what he said. He said,
I remember that.
He said, I challenge you to write 4 bar to record 4 bars every day.
Yeah.
And that's where we came up with 4 bars daily. And then, you know, TS did it with us. And then that turned into more bars Monday to super bar Sunday.
Yeah, you just pulled that out.
That's right. That's right, man. That's right.
Crazy.
And
that's inspiring, though, man.
It's evolved.
It's letting us know that you can just do it right there. You don't have to have the $1 million studio. You can have a phone and a cappella and just spit some bars if you want, or put a beat on. Well,
you're showing me that I don't have to just do that too. Like, we don't put ourselves, you know, we don't need to put ourselves in a box. That's just one thing you're good at.
Define your own success.
Mm-hmm. Dude,
you have the power to today.
Thank you for coming on, man. This is amazing.
Both for having me.
Let me know. So let the people know about the collective and a little bit about exactly what you guys do. So, and where they can find you. I know you guys have Instagram and all that.
Yeah. So you can find us anywhere at dcm.collective. You can find me anywhere, just me personally at iam.justjames. The James has a Z instead of an S, so iam.justjames with a Z. Everywhere on Spotify, we're everywhere. The collective isn't yet. It's just something that we're first starting, and
what is this? DCM?
DCM Dream Chasers Music
Dream
Collective.
Chasers Music. And you guys are on Instagram, right?
Yeah, we're on IG, we're on Facebook, on YouTube. Just now starting to drop content and whatnot. We formed it when I moved out here to Spokane because I'd want this grant, and I used that money that they gave me to start a studio, you know, this home studio, and got all this stuff. And I'm like, it needs a name, it needs something, you know. So DCM Collective is what we started, and it's not stopping. You're going down to Tulsa, and you're just going to continue it. We're going to grow. It's actually TS and I had a talk with the guys, and we're like, okay, well, DCM is still an idea. It's not a business formation. Why don't we just use that under New Age Warriors, and that be one of the things that we can bring to community. So we got Empower Our Future Speaking concert series. We got Raise the Bar, which is a series that TS does to teach people how to be better at audio engineers and how to mix and craft their sound. Now we got DCM Collective that can go do film, that can do music, that can do any type of production. So DCM found a home in New Age with me and TS, and
beautiful, man.
And we couldn't be more happy.
I'm happy for you guys,
Thanks.
man. Thanks for coming here, dude. And everybody go check out James, and just dig in. There's a lot that you guys have done. And you can still go in and check out the concert series and stuff like that you guys have done, and all that content's up on YouTube.
Go to jamespakootas.com, 2 O's I'm sure it'll be on your different I'll be commenting on Happy to Be Here's podcast stuff, and if you guys need any links, man, hit me up.
Yeah, we'll put the stuff in the credits, and you know, make it easy for people to find you.
Cool.
Appreciate you, dog.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Sweet, bro.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of here, everybody. James Pakootas.
Take care.
And we're happy to be here, but we out. Peace. I'm just happy to be here.
And I don't know if you guys heard of one.
No, who's that?
He's an old friend from way back, trying to be a rapper for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
Really?
You know, all respect to
Man, that's great.
to the OG. You know,
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
This podcast was brought to you by Speak Spokane, a community-driven podcasting studio space where people from all walks of life can speak and be heard. Follow along with us on Instagram at Speak Spokane and visit speakpodcasting.com to learn more about starting your podcasting journey today.